Alright, what's going on, everyone? Welcome back to the channel. We are at the World Series of Bowling going on behind us, and today, by popular demand, we're going to talk about some tips on how to prepare for the USBC Open Championships. Stay tuned. So like we said, we're at the World Series here in Detroit, Michigan. We're actually in the arena here at Thunderbolt Lanes, and we want to give you guys some tips on how to succeed at the Open Championships.
And you guys hear from us all the time, so we decided it was going to be a good idea to get some other pros to give you guys some insight on how to bowl out there. So here it is.
So what is your guys' #1 tip on how to succeed at the Open Championships?
You know, for me, I think it's pretty important to get there a day early, or at least get in the bowling center early that morning. Watch the previous squad for the event that you're going to bowl, so that you kind of have a way the lanes are going to break down. Use your practice wisely and try to get get some strikes early on so you can get relaxed.
You want to use the practice and get everyone on the same page, in order for you guys to be super competitive and have a good score in the team event. I think you have to work together. Make sure all your teammates are on the same page, and I think you guys can bowl a big score at the team event this year.
I think it's being patient. The lanes are very difficult, and I think it's all about controlling the pocket and staying patient and making your spares. The lanes tend to open up if you guys work as a team, and then you can get a couple big scores the last few games.
So I think if I'm going to give you
Wait,
one...
hold up, guys. By the way, JR Raymond's bowling channel, YouTube, subscribe. Great channel.
So I think if I'm going to give you one tip for being successful at the Open Championships, it would probably be to practice an awful lot with straight equipment, more or less stuff that's going to make your ball go real straight. Try to figure out how to play straighter angles as much as possible, so that way you can get prepared for out there, because you're not going to see your ball hook like it does at home in the league, on your league patterns and everything. So make sure you practice playing straighter with even a plastic ball or even a urethane ball, just to see those straighter angles and make sure you're in the good shape.
The one thing I always do before I go to the Open Championships is I make sure that my sparing is at its top peak level, because when the lanes are tough, it's spares that are going to get you through those games. Then when you strike the couple times, it just adds pins to your score. So please make sure that your sparing is where it needs to be.
My one tip for the Open Championships is don't use too much surface left of your break point, because you'll probably be in a lot of mess, because the patterns are very flat. So you've got to try and set the lane up a little bit for yourself before you start. So if you try to throw strikes and be further left, then you're going to cause yourself a lot of problems. So try to use a little bit of service, play a little bit further right, and be patient, and then let the lane come to you.
So my tip for the US Open Championships would be take your thumb out of the ball and use 2 hands. But no, seriously, what I would do, just make sure that you see the lane the right way. You don't want to see it left to right. Don't open your angles up too much. Keep it in front of you. Just play safe. You can't play safe enough at the US Open Championships, as hard as they are. So just make good ball selections and just bowl your best game. Be prepared and ready.
So I hope you guys enjoyed those tips from the professionals. A lot of good information there. So really try to implement as many of those tips into your preparation for the Open Championships as you can.
All right, so to end this video, we're going to discuss what our potential arsenal would look like for you guys.
All right, what do we got? So let's start with the statement solid here. So this is going to be my big ball, the most aggressive ball I have. I have it drilled pin up like this. It's about 5 inches from my axis, but this is going to be the ball that I'll hit with surface, use it on fresh, or use to burn up the lanes in practice.
Why do you use it on fresh?
Because I usually keep more surface on it. I need that ball to slow down and not be so angular down lane. So then we're going to go to the statement pearl. And I really like this ball because it's a pearlized ball, but it goes more forward for me than most asymmetric pearls go. So it's not very sharp down lane. So on harder conditions, I can actually use it more because it's not so violent and it keeps me out of trouble. So that's gonna be my asymmetric pearl. This is the daddy right here. This is a purple hammer, just a really standard layout for me, pin up. But I'm gonna use this because I think you have to have urethane in your bag. In my opinion, this is the best urethane ball as far as giving you the most shape, and especially for the EBI line. And this is just, when I can use this ball and there's enough hook on the lane, this keeps me out of trouble and lets me control the pocket, and it goes through the pins. Then we got a pinned down symmetrical ball that I like to have in my bag. For me, it would be this Webb. Nothing fancy here. It's pinned down, so it's going to be a lot smoother. So if I'm looking for something that's not going to be as responsive to the friction, this is going to be the ball. And then we have one of the most iconic balls at the Open Championships, a Game Breaker 2, drilled pin up. I'm going to use this ball when the lanes start to blend out a little bit and I can open up my angles, and I need something that's smooth, but it's still going to retain energy down lane. This ball is that ball for me. I love it. I try to go nowhere without it. And then I'm going to throw a black hammer in there. This is more so my spare ball, but I like to use the urethane for my spare ball, so if I need to use it for a reactive ball, I can. So that's my 6-ball arsenal. Brad, let's go to you now. All right, Brad, what's going to be the 6 balls that you would use for the Open Championships?
It's actually very similar to yours, it's a different company.
Yeah.
So the first ball is going to be the Crux Prime. This is the biggest and slowest ball that we make. I would not go there without this thing, because what big and slow means is you have control of it, and especially out there when the lanes are so hard, control is everything. It becomes very hard to shoot big scores, even 200s, if you don't have control. So if I feel, especially on the fresh, if I feel I need to have that big strong ball, that's the ball I'm going to. The next ball is the Halo Pearl, and this is that one where it's got a weaker cover on it and still a big halo core. So if you need a strong ball but you still need it to have just a little bit of extra length, that's definitely the ball I'm going to go to. The next one is the Phase 2, which is essentially similar to the same shape as the Crux Prime. It's just weaker. It's got a smaller core in it. So if there's a little bit more friction, I'm going to try and use this one over the Crux Prime. If they're a little slicker, I'm going to use the Crux Prime. I also, in this spot, if you have an idle instead of a Phase 2, the idle will work in this spot. The Phase 2 and idle make similar shapes. And then the next one's going to be the Idle Pearl, which is essentially the idle except a weaker cover on it. So if you still need, if the Phase 2 is starting to burn up a little bit, this is still going to give you plenty of hook, but it's cleaner. So instead of it like puking and going through that plaque 10, it's actually going to go through the pins a little bit better. Moving on down to one of our weakest balls is the High Road. And this is when you get really far left, you need the ball to be really clean. This is game 5, game 6 of doubles, game 3 of team. This is when you need that weak ball that's going to give you plenty of length in the middle of the lane when they're broken down a lot. And then the last one is going to be urethane. This is a dual thing. This is my spare ball, but this is also the ball that I could potentially throw on the fresh if I feel like I need something a lot weaker and more controllable than the Crux Prime. If the Crux Prime is still just a little bit too uncontrollable, then urethane is absolutely the perfect option, but I'm also throwing this ball as my spare ball. So that is my 6-ball arsenal that I would take right now to the USBC Open Championships.
Yeah, I think that was pretty similar to mine.
Except you have 2 urethanes.
Except I have 2 urethanes. I'm a little more dependent on the urethane, but anyway, guys.
I would lose my mind by 2 urethanes.
Dude, I can't go anywhere without at least 2. I have 3 this week for the World Series. But either way, guys, that's some good tips for you for the Open Championships. This is more of kind of a relaxed style now. We're kind of free-flowing the camera here, but we wanted to give you guys some insight here while we're at the World Series and get the insight of some of those professionals, because those guys have had extreme success at the tournament. So hope you guys enjoyed it. If there's anything else you guys want to know, drop it in the comments. We'd love to hear from you guys.
We'll do our best.
See you guys later.